Watkins Glen International, nestled in the picturesque Finger Lakes region of New York, stands as a legendary road racing circuit renowned for its challenging layout and storied history. Originally carved out of public roads in 1956, the track has undergone several modifications to its current 3.4-mile configuration, which boasts a blend of high-speed straights, sweeping corners and technical sections. The track's undulating terrain adds to its allure, demanding precision and skill from drivers as they navigate its twists and turns. Watkins Glen has played host to a diverse array of racing series, including Formula One, NASCAR, and vintage car events, drawing enthusiasts and spectators alike to its hallowed grounds. In late July of 1973, the circuit, known then as Watkins Glen Grand Prix Raceway, played host to an outdoor rock concert known as Summer Jam. The concert would showcase iconic figures of rock counterculture, such as the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers, and the band, and remains widely regarded as one of the most highly attended events in US history. 16-year-old Mitchel Weiser, known as Mitch, was known as a charming boy with a sweet demeanour and was an adored and gifted 11th grade student at John Dewey High School, located in the Gravesend area of Brooklyn, New York. He had a passion for photography, baseball, and the Grateful Dead. He was so enamoured with the iconic Grateful Dead track Casey Jones that he named his dog after the song. Known for his fearlessness and rebellious streak, he crossed paths with Bonnie Bickwit, his girlfriend, who was a year his junior at John Dewey High School. 15-year-old Benita Mara Bickwit, known as Bonnie, possessed both sweetness and high intelligence, yet she also demonstrated a strong-willed and determined nature. Bonnie consistently excelled in her classes and was known to be intellectually gifted. Rather than attending the nearby high school, she was intrigued by the newly established experimental institution, John Dewey High School, where she went on to meet Mitch. Bonnie, a free-spirited individual, radiated warmth and had a deep affection for music, especially the works of the Allman Brothers. Mitch had intended to bring his friend Larry Marion to Summer Jam at Watkins Glen in the summer, where the Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers would be performing, but Larry's mother prohibited him from attending, despite Larry having already bought 2 tickets. Larry's ticket subsequently was gifted to Bonnie. Bonnie had a disagreement with her boss at a camp that she worked at, since it meant that she would be unable to work on the weekend of the 28th and 29th of July. As a result of this dispute, Bonnie quit her job, stating to her boss that she would return after the concert to collect her personal belongings and her paycheck. She had previously expressed a desire to quit her job in a letter sent to Stuart Carton, a friend to both Bonnie and Mitch. Mitch's mother, Shirley, and sister, Susan, both expressed their displeasure at his plans to go to Summer Jam, and his mother had offered him some money to take with him. He left his home with just $25 to his name. It was the morning of Friday, July 27th, 1973, and Bonnie had been reunited with Mitch at Camp Well-Met, a popular summer camp situated in the Catskills Mountains area. Bonnie was a frequent camper and had been working there as a parent's helper. During her time at Camp Well-Met, Mitch remained in Brooklyn after securing a coveted position at a nearby photography studio. On the evening of Thursday, July 26th, he embarked on a bus journey from the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan to the summer camp in Narrowsburg, a town located in Sullivan County, approximately 2 hours away. Mitch contacted his mother and sister to inform them of his safe arrival and his nearly depleted funds. His sister, Susan, tried once again to convince him not to go. However, he refused, stating that he would return home on Sunday the 29th. The teenage sweethearts had a plan to hitchhike to Summer Jam, which was approximately 150 miles northwest of Camp Wilmette. After having breakfast at the camp, the teenagers managed to hitch a ride from a man in a pickup truck into Narrowsburg. After they thanked the driver, Bonnie and Mitch stood by the roadside on Highway 97, clutching sleeping bags and displaying a cardboard sign bearing the words Watkins Glen. The truck driver's account was the last confirmed sighting of the teenagers, and it is not known if they ever made it to Watkins Glen. The Summer Jam event on July 28, 1973, for many years maintained the Guinness Book of World Records title for the largest audience at a pop festival, drawing an estimated 600,000 fans to the Watkins Glen Grand Prix Raceway. Around 150,000 tickets were sold beforehand, while the remaining attendees were admitted in what evolved into what was described as a free concert. Mitch's mother, Shirley, became concerned when he failed to return home on the Sunday. On Monday, the 30th of July, Mitch's father, Sidney, and sister, Susan, travelled 5 hours by car from Brooklyn to Watkins Glen in the hope of finding Mitch. A leader at Camp Wilmette also called Bonnie's mother, Ray, who had just returned from vacation in Cape Cod with Bonnie's father, Theodore, to inform her that their daughter had not returned from the concert. Shirley Weiser told the media that, quote, "We met with the county police who treated them as runaways." She further stated, quote, "We gave them photos of Mitch and Bonnie. We went to the Watkins Glen Gorge and screamed their names in case they were there and were hurt." 3 days prior to Bonnie's disappearance, she sent a letter to her parents. In it, she expressed contentment at Camp Wilmette, relishing her newfound freedom, and expressed a desire for similar independence upon returning home. Bonnie mentioned her aspirations to travel, leaving her parents with a glimmer of hope that this might explain her absence. Both Mitch and Bonnie had aspirations and concrete plans for their futures, leading those who knew them to believe they wouldn't willingly disappear. Mitch aimed to finish his coursework, graduate in January, and enroll at Brooklyn University. Mitch and Bonnie had covertly swapped wedding bands, a fact that only reinforced law enforcement's suspicions that they had run away. Adamant that the runaway narrative was indeed the case, police in Sullivan County, Schuyler County, and New York City ignored the pleas of Bonnie and Mitch's families, who were convinced that their children had run into some sort of trouble. Despite the NYPD assuring Mitch's father that they would inform other police agencies across the state about his son's disappearance, they failed to do so. As a consequence, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office did not initiate an investigation. In a letter dated 1973 from the national news editor of the Wall Street Journal to NYPD Commissioner Donald Colley, it was expressed that, quote, "valuable time was lost." The letter further detailed that, quote, "Mr. Weiser was treated abusively by officers of your department when he complained about the failure to send a bulletin about his son." With the authorities refusing to aid them, the Weiser and Bickwit families joined forces and distributed missing persons flyers in Schuyler and Sullivan counties. They distributed advertisements in underground newspapers nationwide, urging the teenagers to reach out to them, and they enlisted in the services of a private investigator. Furthermore, they explored what they described as, quote, hippie communes, Native American reservations, and cult organizations in their search efforts, as days ticked by with no answers to the whereabouts or welfare of Bonnie and Mitch. Ray, Bonnie's mother, distressed and frustrated, turned to psychics for help, one of whom claimed to see the teens lying in a gravel pit. Despite considerable coverage by local media, the family's endeavours proved futile, leaving them perplexed by the apparent lack of attention from law enforcement. Without assistance from law enforcement or support from private organisations, they quickly depleted their funds and resources. As time passed, the search for Mitch and Bonnie gradually waned, leaving their devastated friends and family members to try and resume their lives. Eventually, the story faded from public attention and media coverage. During the 25th anniversary high school reunion for Mitch's graduating class in 2000, friends honoured Mitch and Bonnie by installing a plaque. The plaque, crafted from unpolished pale grey granite with roughly chiselled sides, bore the inscription, "Mitch Weiser, Bonnie Bickwit, we still miss you. Classes of 74 and 75. In the June of that year, Governor George Pataki of New York appointed Roy Strever, a state police investigator residing in Sullivan County, and Attorney General Elliot Spitzer assigned New York City Detective William Kilgallen to reinvestigate the case. This decision was welcomed by both Weiser and Bickwit families. In 2013, a 51-year-old Floridian woman who had lived in Wayne, approximately 20 miles from Watkins Glen in 1973, called authorities and informed detectives that she suspected her father of murdering Mitch and Bonnie. She told of her experience being 11 years old when she encountered her father at a local restaurant, where she approached a table occupied by a boy named Mitchell, who appeared visibly agitated. She said that her father and other men had assaulted her and other children during her childhood, leading her to believe that Mitch and Bonnie might have been targeted by her father. Detectives sought assistance from the state police and the Steuben County Sheriff's Office to aid in the investigation, including providing digging equipment, cadaver dogs, and sonar technology to verify her claims. Subsequently, the police conducted excavations at 2 locations: the family cottage in Wayne and a decommissioned New York State electric and gas power plant. However, these efforts once again proved fruitless, and the woman's father passed away in 2022. Stuart Carton, the childhood friend of Mitch Weiser, who created the website mitchandbonnie.com, disclosed to the media that dental and DNA records, along with case files and the identities of potential witnesses, had been misplaced. As the 50th anniversary of the chilling case approached, Stuart was astonished when new leads began to emerge. The initial significant avenue of investigation stems from claims made by an alleged witness, Alan Smith, a 51-year-old residing in Rhode Island who had seen the case covered on an episode of Missing Persons, which was aired on MSNBC, and he immediately recognised the pair from his past. Smith had no prior acquaintance with the teenagers, encountering them by chance when they hitchhiked home due to their inability to get close to the concert, he recounted. Alan remembered that they appeared youthful and, quote, scrawny, overheard them discussing a summer camp, and noted that the girl wore a bandana or scarf on her head, which Bonnie was known to do. According to his account, he travelled back to Summer Jam with the duo in a Volkswagen bus driven by an unidentified individual, and claimed to witness Bonnie falling into a river, being dragged away, and Mitch attempting to rescue her. The driver of the Volkswagen and Alan concluded that there was little they could do. With no means to call for assistance, they departed. The driver intended to travel to Pennsylvania and mentioned he would contact the police from a gas station along the way. Alan Smith trusted that the driver would indeed notify the authorities, hence he never reported the incident himself. There were no reports of unidentified bodies having been recovered from the river or surrounding area. The second avenue involves delving deeper into the testimony provided by an unidentified woman who implied potential involvement of the couple's families in the disappearance. Thirdly, mounting suspicion suggests that a serial killer named Robert Garrow, known for being active in New York in the early 1970s, might have been involved in the disappearance of the pair. At the time the couple vanished, 15-year-old Bonnie Bickwit was described as a Caucasian female standing at 4 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 90 pounds, had long wavy black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a t-shirt paired with blue denim dungarees and carried a sleeping bag with her. Mitch Weiser, who was 16 years old, was a Caucasian male at 5 feet 7 inches tall, 140 pounds in weight, and had shoulder-length brown hair, which was parted in the middle and tended to be tied into a ponytail. He had brown eyes, although some sources state that they were hazel, and wore gold-rimmed glasses. Mitch was last seen, like Bonnie, wearing a t-shirt and blue denim dungarees. He was also wearing boots and carried with him a grey and olive-coloured plaid shirt and a sleeping bag. The National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children created age progression images of the pair, with what Bonnie would look like at age 65 and Mitch at age 66. With no further leads, the case is on the cusp of once again becoming a cold case. Sadly, Mitch's parents, Sydney and Shirley, and Bonnie's parents, Theodore and Ray, have reportedly since passed away, never knowing what happened to their beloved children on that fateful day in summer of 1973. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Mitch Weiser and Bonnie Bickwit, please contact the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office at 1-845-794-7100.